My husband threatened to slap me to bring me back to my senses, so I dared him to go ahead and do it. My 3 and 5-year-olds are extremely picky eaters and always make excuses or don't finish meals. This really irks my husband, and he is very demanding, forceful and authoritative with them and me when I don't agree. My 3-year-old was fussy as usual for lunch today and said no, I don't want to eat. I set a timer for 30 minutes and said I'm putting the plate away when the timer goes off, so she'll be hungry at nap time if she doesn't eat. My husband kept trying to force her to eat, to which she rebelled more, started crying, and barely took a couple of bites. My 5-year-old cleared most of his plate for lunch but left about a quarter because he said he was full. My husband demanded he finish the food. He refused politely, saying, "No, thank you, I'm full." My husband kept getting madder and saying he had to finish it. "We don't waste food, he hadn't eaten much today," etc. My son came to me and asked if it was okay that he was done. My husband followed him and said, "Don't ask mommy, I already told you to finish it. Go sit down and finish your food." Again, my son said, "No, thank you, I'm full, I don't want to eat more." So then I told my husband to not force him if he was full. He can finish the rest later. I also reminded him that he needs to stop being so demanding and forcing the kids to eat or finish their food. It's causing more issues and making mealtime more stressful. It's become a huge headache and has a negative effect on their health, especially because it's starting to cause a feeding disorder. And I have to deal with it the majority of the time as the primary parent. We have had this conversation many times about how to handle feeding issues and what the protocol is, for feeding therapists and past OTs, and all the child therapists and psychology experts I follow online. For example, setting timers, giving choices, and allowing them to try one bite and have a backup meal if they don't like the main meal. I also keep low-sugar treats they love on hand, like organic fruit popsicles or Jell-O as an incentive. I understand their need to have some control over what they eat and try to make it positive and stress-free for all of us. I talk to him about what feeding therapists suggest, send him articles to read, share videos, etc., to improve his approach. He always says okay, and he understands, but then he continues to bully. He got really mad at me today when I told him our son ate plenty and to stop forcing him to eat if he was full. After reminding him of our multiple conversations regarding feeding techniques, I told our son we don't waste food, so he would need to finish it later during dinner. My husband started raising his voice at me and saying I was going behind his back by letting him do whatever he wants, and wasting food. Again, I said we've talked about this so many times, and I'm literally talking to you about this right now. How is it behind your back? He kept getting aggressive with me and gaslighting, so then it escalated, and we got into a fight. I cursed a couple of times during our conversation, not at him but in the context of what I was expressing, and he then said I was cursing at him and I better stop. I said I'm not cursing at you, I'm just cursing in context because I'm frustrated with this always being an issue and having this conversation over and over again. I told him to read up on feeding issues and educate himself because I was FKNG tired of having to deal with this constantly and the resulting defiance and mealtime battles with the kids. He kept accusing me of cursing at him and saying I wasn't allowed to curse at all and that it didn't matter if I was cursing at him or in the conversation. He got more and more aggressive, so I cursed at him out of sheer frustration and overwhelming stress, so then he threatened to slap me to bring me back to my senses. I said, "Are you really threatening to be physically abusive because I cursed?" And he then started laughing and mockingly saying, "Stop it, that's not physical abuse," and reiterated he would do it only to bring you to your senses. Needless to say, I was not calm at all by that point. I dared him to go ahead and do it, and then I'd call the cops on him and press charges. It was a full-blown fight by then, and he just kept arguing, threatening me, occasionally laughing and mocking me, then cursed at me while claiming I couldn't curse at all, and just escalating the fight. I definitely blew up at the end, called him a few choice words, and cursed back at him before walking away. I feel like complete poop right now. I have a headache, I've been crying for an hour, and I feel like I'm stuck in a very toxic relationship. If you read all this, thank you. I'm not sure what I'm even asking for here. I needed to vent, and I feel like my reaction to him threatening to slap me back to my senses was warranted and that he was being abusive. Am I wrong?